And here is the news at 6. First, the highlights. Lagos State government begins crackdown on illegal mining and dredging. Federal government reviews paramilitary recruitment guidelines to accommodate more women. On the foreign scene, Palestine welcomes Chile, Mexico's request for international criminal courts to investigate crimes against civilians in Gaza. In sports, Serbian tennis player Novak Djokovic moves into round of 16 at Australian Open. Now the details. I am Taiwo Baruwa. The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, Office of Mineral Resources, has commenced a monitoring exercise to all the dredging, mining, toll, and revenue points across the 5 divisions of Lagos State. This is part of its drive to curb illegality in the solid minerals mining sectors, toll fee, and revenue points. The exercise, which was led by the Special Advisor to the Governor on Energy and Mineral Resources, Office of Mineral Resources, Abiola Lu, was targeted at curbing illegalities in the solid minerals and mining sectors across the state. Olu said the visit to the various dredging and mining sites will further provide a pathway towards checkmating adherence to Lagos State dredging and mining guidelines and foster cordial relationships with various stakeholders. He admonished all the dredgers and miners across the state to obtain all necessary permits and regularize their operations with the Office of Mineral Resources. Lagos State Commissioner for Transportation Oluwaseun Oshiyemi has announced that the state's transport policy has been approved and will be launched this year. Oshiyemi says the policy focuses on the intermodal transport system and the integration of all the means of transportation, such as rail, water, and land transportation, thereby decongesting traffic on Lagos roads, as well as creating an efficient, comfortable, and more flexible transport system. According to the commissioner, strategic collaboration is going to reinstate people's confidence in water transportation, saying that the state government has partnered with the Nigerian Navy to encourage the people that the issue of security is given utmost attention, even on the waterways. Oshiyemi says one of the major infrastructure embarked on by the Babajide Sanwo-Olu administration is the Okpebi-Ojota Bridge, which will be delivered around June. He assured that the infrastructure will provide options to the road users, help reduce traffic, and ensure seamless movement around the axis. The commissioner reveals that plans are underway for collaboration with companies that deal with electric buses to promote a carbon-free environment, as well as 2,000 bus extensions on the high-capacity buses.
There's lots of advocacy going on as regards all of these different modes of transportation. I'll be glad to also say to you that by end of first quarter, the red line will come on stream. When that red line becomes in place, lifting about 1 million people every day. As we speak, from data collection, 585 people were lifted by blue line between September 4, 2023 to January 4, 2024.
Oshiyemi, who was speaking on our program, Your Side Mirror, urged Lagosians, especially road users, to take ownership of public infrastructure and obey traffic rules and regulations. The Lateef Jakonde Leadership Academy has hosted multiple award-winning journalist and publisher Dele Olojede, during which he shared leadership strategies that shaped his career with the fellows. Olojede, an accomplished journalist with over 4 decades of experience, highlighted the importance of diversity in leadership, imploring fellows of the academy to embrace hard work and resilience as a means to achieving set goals and objectives. The visit also provided a platform for interactive learning, enabling fellows to gain practical insight into the challenges and rewards of journalistic integrity, while emphasizing the importance of the media in shaping public discourse. In a bid to end gender cordial working relationship among principal officers at the local government level, critical stakeholders in local government administration across the 57 local government areas and local council development areas in Lagos have gathered to brainstorm and identify gaps hindering effective governance at the grassroots. Speaking at the retreat organized by the Lagos State Local Government Service Commission, Chairman of the Commission, Taiwo Baruwa, affirmed that all public servants have vital roles to play in upholding the principles of ethical governance. According to him, by adhering to ethical standards in governance, local government officials will not only build trust with the public but also be contributing to the overall development and progress of Lagos State. Bayo implored participants at the retreat to ensure that their actions are constantly reinforcing the trust the public places in their care, just as he expresses the hope that the retreat will be a catalyst for positive change and will ignite a renewed sense of purpose and dedication to duties. The Permanent Secretary, Local Government Service Commission, Abosede George, while appreciating participants for their presence and contributions at the event, implored them not to relent in their efforts to work towards achieving the Themes Plus agenda of the present administration. Now to the rest of the stories. The federal government has announced the review of guidelines for recruitment into the civil defense, fire, correctional, and immigration services, saying henceforth 35% of the recruitment into the services would be allocated to women. Minister of Interior Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo stated this at the end of a meeting of the board of the Civil Defense, Fire, Correctional, and Immigration Services. Tunji-Ojo said the 35% allocation of slot to women was in line with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu. According to the minister, the ongoing recruitment into the federal fire service would be based on the new guidelines, which would focus largely on professionalism, gender mainstreaming, and federal character principles. He warned Nigerians interested in applying not to patronize scammers, saying that the government is already aware of some scammers who are asking for money for recruitment into the fire service. The Supreme Court has upheld the elections of 6 governors. They are Taiwo Baruwa of Ogun State, Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State, Sheriff Oborewori of Delta State, Inuwa Yahaya of Gombe State, Uba Sani of Kaduna, and Nasir Idris of Kebbi State. The Supreme Court upheld the election of the Nasarawa State Governor, Abdullahi Sule, who was sacked by the State Election Petition Tribunal. It dismissed all 3 appeals to overturn Oborewori's election as governor of Delta State. The Supreme Court affirmed the election of Governor Taiwo Baruwa of Ogun State and dismissed the appeal filed by the People's Democratic Party and its candidates. Also, an appeal by the PDP candidate in Kebbi was dismissed as the court held that it lacked merit. The Supreme Court also upheld the judgment of the lower court affirming the election of Governor Inuwa Yahaya of Gombe State and dismissed the appeal filed by the PDP governorship candidate in Kaduna challenging the election of Governor Uba Sani. Meanwhile, protests have erupted in Lafia, Nasarawa State capital, following the Supreme Court judgment affirming the election of Abdullahi Sule. The Lafia Just Road has been completely blocked as the protesters set fire along the road. Motorists had to take an alternative route to travel out of Lafia, the Nasarawa State capital. In foreign news, Palestinians have welcomed a request by Chile and Mexico for the International Criminal Court, ICC, to investigate crimes against civilians as Israel's war on Gaza continues unabated. Mexico's foreign ministry said the referral is due to the growing concern over the latest escalation of violence, particularly against civilian targets. The Mexican ministry added that the court based in The Hague was the proper forum to establish potential criminal responsibility, citing numerous reports from the United Nations that detail many incidents that could constitute crimes under the ICC's jurisdiction. Meanwhile, Chile's foreign minister Alberto Claverin said in a news conference that the country supports the investigation of any possible war crime. Israeli attacks have devastated the Gaza Strip since Hamas fighters launched a surprise attack inside Israel on October 7 that killed about 1,140 people, mostly civilians. In sport now, Serbian professional tennis player Novak Djokovic has found his groove to cruise through to the fourth round of the Australian Open. The 10-time champion needed 4 sets to progress in 8 of his first 2 matches against Dino Prismic and Alexei Popyrin, but was never in trouble against the Argentine, cruising to a 6-3, 6-3, 7-6 win. And we face either French 20th seed Adrian Manarino or American 16th seed Ben Shelton on the last 16. The world number 1 has been under the weather in Melbourne, regularly blowing his nose during changeovers, and admitted he has not been at his best. That's it on the news at 6. But just before we go, speed thrills but kills. Avoid excessive speed. You can follow us and like all our various social media platforms. X, formerly Twitter, Lagos Traffic 961. Instagram, Lagos Traffic Radio 961. Watch us live on Facebook, Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. On YouTube, subscribe and watch all our previous programs and news on our channel, Traffic Radio 961. Did you know that the Sanwo-Olu administration began Community Tourism Initiative? You can get more details on the Lagos State Government website. To end the news, here are the highlights of the major stories. The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, Office of Mineral Resources, has commenced a monitoring exercise to all the dredging, mining, toll and revenue points across the 5 divisions of Lagos State. The federal government has announced the review of guidelines for recruitment into the civil defense, fire, correctional, and immigration services, saying henceforth 35% of recruitment into the services would be allocated to women. We also told you that Palestinians have welcomed a request by Chile and Mexico for the International Criminal Court (ICC) to investigate crimes against civilians as Israel's war on Gaza continues unabated. In sports, Serbian professional tennis player Novak Djokovic has found his groove to cruise through to 4th round of Australian Open, brushing aside 30th seed Thomas Echeverry. For contacts with the newsroom, send a message to Lagos Traffic Radio at lagosstate.gov.ng. That ends the news broadcast compiled by Zainab Adebishi. I am Taiwo Baruwa. Thank you for listening. Good evening.